Awu. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, sorry for this late live. It's Friday, Furahi Day. Karibu sana. Kenya Revolution hapa. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, this is your one and only Kenya Revolutionary. Now, karibisha sana, tafadhali, mkae chini. Najua it's very late. I don't know what time it is. Is it in Kenya? Is it like what? Midnight or past midnight or something like that. But kama bado uko juu na uko kwa mtandao, tafadhali like the video. That you know the first order of business hapa. Kitu kikuja live unafanya nini? Unafinya your button ya live, okay? But anyway, this is late. So if you're going to get it, if you're asleep, you didn't get this live because, I've been busy all day. So, but I had to make this live. This session, I had to go with this session because I felt it's a much needed topic that needs to be explored. I've been, pushing this for the past 1 year or whatever, however long I've been in this YouTube platform and X. Since I started this channel, I've been trying to open people's eyes to see, to vet, to look at these candidates, those people who we call leaders. We call anybody who's elected a leader. Everybody that has been elected is not necessarily a leader. But I always say that we need to vet these people and see if they are really people who are championing, are true champions of the people. And when I say champions of the people, I mean people who are championing our interest as the Wana Inchi. The topic of the day is why they want Okiya Omtata dead. And I want you to listen carefully. If you're going to watch this on repeat, tafadhali, this might be a lengthy one. So kama it's too lengthy for you, usually what I do, if the secret is watching some of these lives in one sitting, it's kind of ningomu, okay? Because attention, you have things going on in your life. Sazile uko peke yako, maybe we saizi umeshikana unaangalia ka movie or whatever. That's not the time to watch this, okay? I'm talking about if you have a job where you can afford to listen to this. Unaweza kuweka kwa earphone yako na usikie pole nikikueleza. Or when you're relaxing, kenda kulala. Just listen to what I'm saying, not what I'm saying, and try to relate to the reality on the ground, what's happening. Because here I want you to think deeper than just these fights and this difference between political parties, or there's no difference in ideology because there's no ideology in Kenya as far as these political parties are concerned. But I'm just talking about the nature of our politics. Think deeper than just UDA versus ODM, Kenya Kwanza versus Azimio, Raila versus Ruto, all that. Let's start looking at things deeply based on the action of these so-called politicians or leaders or whatever the case we call them, okay? These people who we voted in, or some of them were just waliingizwa hapo kwa njia ambayo njia halali, okay? So, today we want to examine. We had yesterday Okiya Omtata alishambuliwa katika nyumba yake huko mashinani, huko bara, his home. There are some couple of gentlemen who went there to look for him. They were asking, where's Okiya Omtata? And his in-law had to say, hey, listen, huyu jamaa yuko hapa wanaondokeni. Why are they looking for him? I told you last month, it was a few weeks ago, 3 or 2 weeks ago, where Okiya Omtata survived a road accident. And I told you this, somebody is after Okiya Omtata's life. And even before that, Okiya Omtata alishambuliwa by some youth. They were trying to stone him or do whatever the case they were trying to do to him. And I mentioned that's a way of intimidating him. Why? Why Okiya Omtata of all the people? I know some people are quick to say, oh, Ruto is the one who's after. And actually, he did say that, Ruto is after him when he was in Busia. And actually, I think Aliweka, he reported the issue to the DCI or the local police station. He left a statement. Do you remember that? Yes. Ruto may, I don't have the evidence, so allegedly, he might be behind that. but it's just not that Ruto peke yake. There's a higher power that it goes deeper than just Ruto. Okay? Ruto will, if it was up to Ruto, Ruto will not care about Okiya Omtata because he knows, given the system that we have, he can still do whatever he wants to do and still get away with it, not caring about what Okiya Omtata is doing. But he is being pressured by a higher power than just him as the president of Kenya, okay? And that higher power is the Western colonialist. I'll explain. Listen, when we talk here, I'm not being a conspiracy theorist. I want you to look at things based on evidence and connect the dots. When I told my friends from Azimio that Raila Odinga is a con man and is working for the CIA, they couldn't believe it. They dismissed me and say, hey, listen, you're a Raila hater, whatever. But I'm telling you, this guy is part of the plan. He's part of the cabal of the irredeemably corrupt politicians that take their orders from Washington, D.C. and Buckingham Palace, that group involves Uhuru Kenyatta and President William Ruto. It's a game. It's a con game. Remember when Babu alituambia this is a long con game? He didn't know how that long con game extended to. It actually extended to his party leader, Raila Odinga. I've been telling you. Because you have to ask yourself, why is it that of all the politicians and all the leaders that we have in Kenya, only Okiya Omtata is the one that they're going for? And don't buy into this Jimmy Wanjigi stuff. Jimmy Wanjigi is a faker, okay? I'll tell you why Jimmy Wanjigi is a faker, okay? Just give me a second. But before we go on, if you haven't subscribed, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, go ahead and subscribe. Kwa sababu tunataka kuingia kwa siasa. Tunataka kuingia deep into siasa. Deep into it. Isi ile ya watoto, okay? Kama mpenda ile siasa kupiga makelele hapa ati sijui nini, please, this is not for you. Enda ile your class is down the hall. Hii ni ile advance. Unajua vile unaenda university unaambiwa political science 101. No. This is an advanced class where we need thinking, critical thinking, connecting dots based on matamshi ya hawa politicians and their action. This is not what we just get excited because this politician went somewhere akaanza kusema tawe na mnafikiri he's the next revolutionary leader. No. We want to see people. We want to analyze why the powers that be. And let me tell you something. The order to kill Okiya Omtata, I will tell you here unequivocally that it comes from the West. And they're using Ruto, Raila, and the rest to get rid of him. Okay? Allegedly. Okay? I have to add that for legal reasons. Okay? But let's get to it. Before we get to that Okiya Omtata, I want to replay two politicians, okay? Two individuals. One was a member of UDA and one was a member of ODM. They tried to vie for their seat, but the leadership of that party, the respective parties, iliwaruka and gave the nomination to somebody else. I played this video in my last live, but I want to play it again. But I want you to look at the lens and look at it through the lens, through the prism in which I want to present to you today. Unanisikia? Nataka uiangalie vizuri. Because the case I want to build here is this. Ladies and gentlemen, members of jury, this is the case I'm building for you. I told you this is advanced political science class. POSI. Unajua inaitwanga POSI, okay? Political science class 502A. Hii political science 101. Nataka ufikirie. Think. Open your mind. Hii si ile ya kupiga makelele ya tuoli. Listen to me. Listen to me. Your leaders are being chosen for you. I will repeat. Your leaders. Let me rephrase this. Let me rephrase this. your politicians, your representatives are being chosen for you. Mnanisikia vizuri? I know this is going over your head. I will be very slow today and I will be very patient. Listen to me again. The members of parliament, the MCAs, the governors, your president, and members of the opposition, that's including Raila Odinga and his cohorts, they have been handpicked for you. Wamechaguliwa na wale watu ambayo wakoloni wamewachagua, wameweka Raila pale yako, na wameweka Ruto pale yako, na wameweka Wandai pale yako, na wameweka ODM pale iko, na wameweka UDA pale iko. I will tell you why. I'm coming slowly. Ninakuja pore, slowly. Most. Munanisikia vizuri lakini leo? Kunywe ni maji. Kahawa niko hapa nayo hapa. I'm here. Like the video, share, comment. Na kama uja subscribe. Jina ndio hiyo, Kenya Revolutionary. Enda kwa YouTube, subscribe. Na ukitaka kunifuata kwa ninio, kwa X ndio hiyo pale. Nifuate, okay? Nataka kuambia pole, na nitawachezea hizi video one more time so we can listen carefully to what these people are saying. Then I'll get to the speech that Okiya Omtata made that made him officially the target of the West and their political puppets in Kenya who are trying to kill him. Let's go. Like the video. Nakuja hapo tafadhali. Tulia, tuko naye hapa hivi. I'm with you, don't worry about it. Usikimbie. Tuko hapa na tutawaeleza kinaga ubaga. Kinaga unini? Kinaga ubaga. Haya. Now, I've told you, write down this statement in your head or put it in your head. Your political leaders, your representative, your president, the members of the opposition are all chosen for you. Si nyinyi ndio mnachagua, mmechaguliliwa. Twende kazi. I will start with Kimani Ngunjiri. Si mnakumbuka ile video niliyochezea jana? Wacha niwachezee tena, but today we want to look at it through a different prism. Okay? Different prism with that in mind. Sinimesikia nikimake statement nikiwaambia ati hawa wakoloni wanakuchagulilia nani atakuwa MP wako na nani atakuwa rais wenu na nani atakuwa opposition. Sasa nataka usikie, nitacheza Ngunjiri alafu nitaenda Ogola. Pole, nataka usikie. I will not play the whole thing, but there's something I want you to pay attention to. Listen carefully. Like the video. Kiendelea. Twende. Okay, twende. Let me play it. Tukiendeleanga. Twende kazi. Let me play Ngunjiri. Let's go. Ngunjiri Kimani. He was UDA. Aya, sikia. He'll start.
I want to say in this media and everybody in Kenya to hear me, I'm not in UDA myself. I'll never wear yellow anymore.
What happened?
Because I've been with Moi. I've been with Kibaki. I know the structure of election. I know how the people should put people together. I know how we should get to a light on nomination. It did not work. Let me tell you, in Nakuru, they did something with the governor there. 7 family of his family, the sister, the grandchild, the nini, they gave nomination. My people like in Bahati, they got nothing who supported the UDA. So for the UDA, let's not talk about it here for me, because I'm not part and parcel for the UDA. I will support the president. I will go on either independent or any other party, but not in UDA. Hiyo ni matope, hiyo ni shida. It's a big problem. Because,
so in which
let me ask you, my brother, you know how I worked for UDA. You want to see when we are getting the director of something, we go and get Western when he was in the other party there. We are not there ourselves. Who did this work for UDA? Why are we?
I will stop it there because I'm not interested in playing the whole thing. I want to emphasize in what he's saying. Okay? Because I told you today we want to look at the same video, but through a different prism, different lens, okay? Now, there's this phenomena. There's this thing that you see. It happens in all these so-called political parties. And by the way, these political parties are nothing but a racket, a business. But anyway, that's besides the point. My point I'm making is this. You realize that there are people who, within even these political parties that you see, as useless as they may be, there are people within these parties who are, they want to actually make a change. They want to, they work so hard within their political party to move up the ranks and become the representative of the people of whatever constituency they hail from. But notice what happens. This is a member of the UDA. He mentions that what? No matter how hard he works, what happens? The nomination is always given to somebody else. Umesikia? Hiyo ni UDA. UDA ni ile ya Rift Valley ya kina Ruto huko hiyo wanavaa yellow. He says, no matter how hard you work, no matter how people like you, no matter how much influence and accomplishments you make within the party and how high you move up the ranks, ikifika wakati wa kupata nomination, the process never is democratic. Wanakuchuja. Wanakwambia, hey, well, thank you very much, but they give the nomination to somebody else, not you. Umesikia? Hiyo ilikuwa UDA. Twende Azimio. Twende ninio ODM, sorry. Twende ODM. You see what I'm saying? Remember I told you, all your politicians, MPs, MCAs, governors, president, and even the members of the opposition are chosen for you. Si wewe ndio una choose, nyinyi mnafikiria ati mlipiga kura. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Hakuna. Urongo. Tawe. It's not democratic. Twende kwa ninio, twende kwa ODM. Nimekutoa kwa UDS. Umesikia Kimani Ngunjiri akisema? Notice how eerily similar the process is with ODM. Just like UDA, they're doing the same thing with ODM. Look, twende kazi. Unafikiri na kuenjoy. Twende kazi. I miss kuenjoy. Twende kazi. I want to play and listen to. That was a UDA guy. Mina sana kuchezea yule mtu alikuanga kwa ODM. Akueleze vile process yao inaenda. And it is the same thing as Kimani Ngunjiri have told us the way they are conducting their business at Ninio. Uko UDA. Haya, twende kazi. I want to play you the professor, the wonderful professor. Twende. Miss hapa si wadanganyi. Mimi sina haja ya kuwadanganya. Nataka kuwachezea ukweli ndio tu. I told you hii ni siasa ya hali ya juu. Hii si siasa ile ya mchezo ile ya chini huku tukicheza. No. Tunataka kupeleka hii siasa. Hii ni ile si political science 101. Hii political science 507. We want to chambua these things. Now, are you ready? Let me play you this video by Professor. Okay? Mko ready? Haya ndio hiyo sana ya kuja. Wachani wachezee ndio muelewe. Like the video, msisahau jamani. Like the video and subscribe kama huja subscribe kwa sababu leo ni siasa. I want you to look at it through a different prism, different lens. This is not ile siasa ya chini. Nataka uelewe. This is powerful because it will help you understand why Kenya is stagnant. It's where it is and it's getting worse by the day and we have the worst leaders. It's not because we are choosing these leaders. It's because these leaders are chosen by somebody else and they are being imposed on us. Twende kazi. Haya, wacha niwachezee. Tunakuja hapo. Hii napeleka pole. Sijawachezea speech ya Ekuru Okot. Ngoja. I'll explain why they want to kill Ekuru Okot. Nitakuelezea kwa nini wanataka kuua Ekuru Okot. Nitawaelezea today. I will elezea you. Twende. Chukua chai na upige like hapo. I'm coming to you. Haya. Twende tusikie professor. Nimewachezea Ngunjiri amewaeleza. Okay,
when it comes to involvement in political parties or political matter involvement, because there's been a lot of complacency, especially from the general public in Kenya, and there's a lot of lethargy when it comes to involvement in political parties or political matters or even political engagements. And civic awareness is very important in terms of economic and governance awareness, raising the right questions, knowing how to go about it. Now, the only way or the best way to do this is through participation in political parties and political party activities. Failure to do that during this time, as we say, the elections will happen either way, the way politicians want them to happen. If Kenyans fail to be part of this process, they will be failing themselves, don't you think?
Yeah, you see, the greatest paradox is that someone cannot run a political party but wants to run government. For me, is the greatest paradox. ODM has not done the election for the last 10 years. Yet
Even the last elections failed.
Yes, yet they are shouting on democracy against the president. UDA was not able to hold a good nomination, neither ODM. For example, the larger Siaya where I come from, it was shambolic. I was a leading candidate in Ugenya. And then I saw people meet in an hotel and gave a ticket.
On UDA?
Of ODM.
Oh, okay.
That Oburu Dinga, Okiya Omtata, James Orengo meet candidates they choose who are not popular and give them a ticket, and ODM lost Ugenya. I was in Ugenya last on Sunday. They still cry why I didn't get the ticket for ODM. So if you cannot run a political party, can you?
Stop it right there. Stop it right there. This is not about ODM. This is not about UDA. But I want to illustrate something. I told you, niliwaambia kitu. Our politicians, these MPs, these MCAs, governors, president, opposition, the head of the opposition, they are being chosen for us. Hatuwachagui, hawa ni watu wamechaguliwa. They were imposed by us. Now, I first started by playing the video of Ngunjiri, Kimani Ngunjiri. And his number one complaint was this: I worked so hard for this UDA, nikaleta watu, a different voting block, na ikifika wakati wa nomination, nani mtu mwingine ndiye alipewa nomination, sio mimi. Okay? Ogola, professor. Okay? Very qualified, intelligent man, well learned. Okay? Popular with the people. Alikuwa ninio influence, alikuwa anataka kurun under ODM ticket. Ikifika malpan ninio saya kuwa nominated, guess who got the nomination? You heard him speak. Alisema Oburu Ndiga, Wandai na James Orengo met in a hotel, wakapatia mtu mwingine nomination. Remember the statement that I started with. Nikawambia nini? Our politicians are chosen for us. Whether it's the president, whether it's the opposition, whether it's Wandai, the head of whatever, munachaguliliwa. Si nyinyi. Nyinyi mnaenda kupiga kura, mnafikiria mnapigia kura the person who will bring change. No. No, you're not. Unapigia mtu ambaye alishachaguliwa na nini? Na the powers that be. The point I'm driving home is this. They have gatekeepers. This process of giving out nomination, okay, whether it's in the UDA, whether it's in Jubilee, whether it's in the ODM, whether it's in Ford Kenya, or whatever the case is, this process is a process of gatekeeping. What do I mean by gatekeeping? What do I mean by gatekeeping? Unaweza kuniangalia hapo unafikiri mimi ni cheese. What is gatekeeping, Kenya Rebel? What is gatekeeping? I'll tell you what gatekeeping is. Gatekeeping is a process in which you are sieving. You want to make sure that whoever is going to be our nominee, whoever the people are going to vote for, is somebody who will maintain our interest, will safeguard our interests. Akona sisi will do what we want them to do. Si mtu ambaye ataingia hapo na aanze kuleta mambo yake change ambayo hatutaki hapa. No. He has to stay with the agenda. Okay? He has to stick to the script. Unasikia kitu nasema? Okay. The script iliandikwa huko Washington DC. The script iliandikwa wapi? Huko Buckingham Palace. I'm coming to the speech by Okiya Omtata, by the way, which reveals how we have laws in place. There's one law that is called IMF Act. Hey, tutaingia huko. Tafadhali, go like this video. EC Political Science 101. Well, for those of you who have gone to college, EC Political Science 101. Political Science 101 iko down the hallway. In advanced politics, Fikiria, we need your all mental faculties, your intellectual know-how. Fikiria, get the information, skia, process it, have critical thinking, wake vitu together, and relate it with what's happening in the ground based on what these politicians are saying, what these politicians are accomplishing, how they vote, and what they advocate for. Is it in the interest of Kenyans? This is where we are going. So let me just clear it off for those of you who are getting in right now. Like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't. Let me go back again for you for your audio very quickly before I get to the Okiya Omtata speech, that the reason why they want to kill Okiya Omtata. Now, this is how it is. These politicians, they create this ODM, which is one of the most influential party in Kenya for the past, 10 years? Okay. We have UDA, which was concocted in the last, 4 or 5 years. Ndio. Alafu wanashikana na Jubilee. Okay. These are all politicians, all of them, both on the Azimio and Kenya Kwanza side. It's the same, two sides of the same coin. Okay, they have the people who are leading them, who are the top brass of those political coalitions. These guys are political puppets. They take their from what? The Western millennium. So, in order to make sure that anyone that come through these political parties, remember, these party coalitions are the most famous ones in Kenya. Sindio? Both Azimio, both Kenya Kwanza. In order to make sure that they get people who join in the party and don't go outside the script, they have to make sure that they are comfortable with that person, they know their history, or they have something which they can use to blackmail him or her. Okay? For example, Babu Owino cannot be a revolutionary. You know why? Because if he starts doing some real change, wataanza kumwambia, hey, Babu Owino wewe, I think you're forgetting. Uko na kesi. Remember when his kesi yake sijui iliisha. Then he came out and started talking about Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, the long con game. After the long con game statement, do you know what happened? Walisema ati watafungua hiyo kesi yake. Now walileta a new charge on the same case. So they're using that incident ya bunduki ambayo alipiga mtu bunduki to hold him, to control him so he cannot get off script. Don't be fooled by this kwa ground movement. That's just to impress the wananchi. I'm telling you, ask yourself, why are the people who are in power, Ruto, so to speak, let me just use Ruto for example, allegedly, why are they not going after Babu Owino? Why are they not trying to kill Babu Owino? Why are they trying to kill only Okiya Omtata? I'm getting to the speech by Okiya Omtata, the speech that made Okiya Omtata become the enemy number 1 of Kenya. Okiya Omtata is more dangerous to them than Miguna. Okiya Omtata is more dangerous to them than any politician. And I'll tell you why. We are getting to the speech. So with that understanding, understand this. They create this political coalition. Political coalition has swallowed up every political party that is in Kenya. Mtu akianza political party hapa, wataambiwa ati bomoa hiyo, ndio unaona Ruto anaambia Musalia, bomoa hiyo party yako, ingie Kenya Kwanza. Ukiwa huko kwa Azimio is basically influencing everything that's happening ODM is influencing everything that's happening in Azimio. Okay, Jubilee is Jubilee. What's there in Jubilee? Nothing. But anyway, the main point is this: they are always giving. It's called Hegelian dialectic. Wacha nikwambie, They have to have two sides to confuse you that there's checks and balances. Ulisikia Babu Owino akisema checks and balances. They give you two choices to give you the illusion that you have a choice. You have a choice between, it's a binary choice between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza. But in reality, if you see these head honchos of Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, they are the same people. They are all coming from KANU. They are all people, they're the same rotten, corrupt politicians from zile zama za Moi. All of them, from Raila Odinga, Ruto, Kibaki, Kenyatta, they are all rotten. But wanajiosha. Unaona Kalonzo amejiosha squeeze, ameshajiosha. Unamwona huko na members of Kikuyu elders. But let me not digress. So this is what I'm telling you. So, in order, ukijaribu ku run through Azimio, let's say right now I'm a young person. I want to run to become an MP or a senator or a governor. And I really want to make change. Okay? Now, there's Kenya kweli that needs change. I'm intelligent. I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying I'm intelligent. I'm not trying to sound cocky. I'm just saying I'm giving you an example. I'm young. I have a lot of energy. Niko na mafikiri zangu. I'm an idealist. You know, ideologically, I have clarity. Okay? Na nika join Kenya Kwanza or Azimio. And I want to move up the ranks. I want to become the next MP so I can bring change to my people, to my constituency. I care about the rule of law, the constitution, na hizo mambo yote. And I have kwa ground watu wamenipenda. I have that support from the ground. Okay? So I try to move up the ranks. Nikijaribu kupata nomination, you see these Azimio people, watanisoma. Wananiangalia, huyu jamaa, can we make a deal with them? Kama mimi ni mtu wa Kenya Kwanza, this Kenya Kwanza people, they'll be looking at me. Is this somebody tunaweza kumcorrupt? Is there something we can hold against him? That is the process of gatekeeping. If I'm somebody who cannot be corrupted, I have integrity, and I want to bring real change to help the wananchi, nomination itapewa mtu mwingine. Because the idea of this Azimio and Kenya Kwanza is to have political monopoly or duopoly of politics. And if you have political duopoly by these two party coalitions, whoever gets into power, watapora mali na hakuna kitu itafanyika. That's why they want NADCO, so they can legally pora mali ya Kenya between two party coalitions. Unanielewa? Let's get to why the speech that made Okiya Omtata become the public enemy number one. Like the video and subscribe, because today I want to open your eyes. Hii ujinga mnasema sijui Azimio UDS sijui nini. Hizi ni vita za uongo. They are fakers. I told you about yesterday. Sifuna alitoa nini mzuri hapo kwa press conference akasema ati sijui government haijapatia ODM pesa. Wawachilie pesa sijui ODM ipate pesa. And I told you the opposition cannot criticize Kenya Kwanza, the government, the same government that is sponsoring campaign of the head of the opposition, Raila Odinga, to run for AU. What kind of criticism is that? Hiyo ni mchezo mnachezwa. But one man has stood up. One man, a simple man from Busia. Oh my gosh. Let me play his speech. I'll tell you why Jimmy Wanjigi is fake. Wacha niwaambie kabla sijaingia kwa hiyo speech ya nani. I'll tell you why Jimmy Wanjigi is fake. Unakumbuka vile Ruto was talking about taxing the Kenyatta's land. Jimmy Wanjigi akaenda kwa kanisani akaanza kusema ati ukianza ku mention hiyo mambo ya kutax the Kenyatta's, you are touching on a live wire. He's defending his friend Uhuru Kenyatta, the Kenyatta family, who have stolen most land in Kenya. Ndio nakwambia huyu Jimmy Wanjigi hata akikuja hapa akituambia mambo ya sijui debt nini, he's a faker, a tribalist, a faker. But tuingie mambo ya Busia. Like the video kwa sababu leo nataka kuwaongeza kwa siasa ya ndani. Ndio uelewe siasa vile iko. Wacha kuangalia siasa hawa kina Raila. These are useless bought people, fake politicians. Have been bought and can be sold by the CIA and MI6 and have been working for them for a long time. Kenya is a corporation. Kenya is a corporation. Mnanisikia vizuri? Ndio mnafikiri nimechizi. Do your research. Mimi sitofanya. Niliwaambia hii si Psych 101. Come on, if you don't know that Kenya is a corporation, leave the class. Go to ile class ya kina sijui kumekucha na sijui sound candidate hizo ujinga zingine. This is advanced politics. Ukuja hapa kama ushapata your ninio, ile ushafanya the prerequisites. You don't come here discussing sijui ati prove to me Raila Odinga is a CIA. No. We're advanced here. Enda kwa nani? Lema kwenye if you want propaganda. Here is advanced politics. Tuingie kwa nani? Okiya Omtata. And Okiya Omtata will state it, saying Kenya is a corporation. It's a British corporation. Kenya is a corporation. A British corporation. Our akina Ruto, Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila, these are minions to confuse people, to give people the feeling that kuna democracy, we have choice. But we are being ruled with an iron fist by the Queen of England. Now the king, huyo jamaa anakufa na kansa, kufe karibisa. Let's get to it. Niliwaambia, advanced politics. Tuingie kwa Okiya Omtata. It's a long speech, and I will play all of it. And we'll go by step. You will learn about the IMF Act. Kuna act inaitwa IMF. It's a law in Kenya that you have to borrow. You have to borrow. Oh, you have to borrow. Hey, nyi mnacheza. Ukiona kina Ruto na kina Morcom, these are thieves. These are gangsters. Hao ni mashita. Raila Odinga is a gangster. Huyo ni mjamaa. Uhuru Kenyatta is a gangster. Hawa ni mababe wa majambazi. These are wajambazi. Mimi nawaambia all of them should be in committee. Now, anyway, let me go not get beside myself. Are you ready for the speech? This is the speech why they want Okiya Omtata dead. Hii ndio kwa sababu wanataka kumuua. Uliona walikuwa wanajaribu kuua Miguna akaenda, akarudi. Lakini before arudi, he's been, nani alimwambia poesha, tuliza boli. Ruto alimwambia tuliza boli. Nitakurudisha lakini tuliza boli. Okay? You can't be going hard for me. Okay? It's okay, good dear. Uko sawa, sijali. Like, share, comment. Ninawaambia, tuliza boli. But the only thorn in Kenya, the thorn for this political class, these colonial puppets that are working for the British corporation called Kenya, the biggest thorn is Okiya Omtata. Listen to this speech. We shall go to it one by one, line by line, and listen to what he says. Ukienda nyumbani uende ukaisikie. Let's go. Mko ready? Haya, niliwaambia mkitaka siasa ya utoto, endeni huko sijui kumekucha, endeni huko sijui sound card, huko sijui wapi, mkasikia siasa za ujinga huko. Hapa ni advanced politics. Advanced. Elewa, this is not conspiracy theory. Fanya your research. Niliwaambia zile vitu Mbogo alikuwa anasema hivi. This is not conspiracy theory. Do your own research. Uone nikidanganya uniambie. Kuja uniambie. I'll give you $1,000 for free. If anything I say here ni urongo. Anyway, I'll start by this. Even before I get to that speech, wacha nicheze kitu Okuru Okot aliandika hapa. Aliwachezea. Listen to me, because Okuru Okot also gets it. And I'm so glad that these people, Francis Gaitho, Okuru Okot, Ogola, they are speaking out because they understand well true power, the true dark hand that is driving Kenya is coming from. Ruto is a corrupt gangster. He's not qualified to do anything but to steal. Raila Odinga is not qualified to do anything but to steal and con people. Uhuru Kenyatta was smoking 10 years as a president of Kenya, of this corporation called Kenya. Kenya is a British corporation. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. Nitawachezea isinio. Lakini wacha niwachezee ninio. This is from Okuru nani. Anaitwaje Charlie. What's his deal? What's his deal? Anaitwa nani? Okuru Ekot. I'll play you just a snippet ambayo aliandika hapo, which was being talked about. And he was mentioning the same thing that, you know, hao ni wazungu ambao wanaandika. They're telling you, while they're telling, like the video. Wewe usiharibu wakati. Like the video and subscribe. Mimi hapa nataka kwa nawaambia ukweli. Staki mzozo. I'm telling you the truth. Okay, let me play for you. Are you ready? Nawachezea. It's very short. It's very short. Musikie alafu tuelewane. Ama namna gani? Haya basi, wacha nielewe. I'll get to you. Because unajua, if you want to help Kenya, if you want to get out of oppression, mpaka tuelewe the nature of our enemy.
Sure, we got to get CO2 under, so we got to build these huge pipelines. So we have to, they're using every kind of pretext you can possibly imagine to seize massive amounts of land, whether it's the Endangered Species Act. Oh, there might be an owl on your property somewhere, or it's the carbon capture. We got to get CO2 under, so we got to build these huge pipelines. So we have to take thousands and thousands of the best acres of farmland out of production. But the same things are happening all over the world, and that's one of the things I wanted to emphasize.
What he's talking about, he's referring to the whole process of taking land, indigenous land, in the name of you're violating the carbon emissions, whatever things. Okay, and remember, go look it up right now. The Chancellor of Nairobi used to work for United Nations. He's a huge guy in the World Economic Forum. He's the biggest proponent on this bullcrap called world carbon tax, emission stuff. That's why Kenya gave, I don't know how many acres. Was it 500 acres or whatever? Wakisema, oh, carbon tax, now wamechukua your land. This guy was very, very instrumental. The current chancellor of Nairobi University. He's a mzungu from Netherlands. He was very instrumental in even bringing, unakumbuka ile world ile mambo ya climate change, ujinga ya climate change ambayo ilifanyika Nairobi. He's the one who actually advocated for it to happen in Kenya. Go look it up. Jimi nafikiri ni mchezo. I'm coming to it. I'm coming to Okiya Omtata. Tunakuja. Are you ready for Okiya Omtata? Sawa, twende. Let me start on Okiya Omtata because wakati muda unayoyoma, okay? Thank you very much. Now waona hapo. Like the video. Like it, subscribe, share, comment. Like the video. Onyesha. Can you tag Okiya Omtata, tag Okuru Ekot, tag everyone, Raila Odinga and William Ruto and all these corrupt people, except Okiya Omtata, of course, and a few. Tag him. Sawa, wacha niwachezee sasa. Why they wanted to get rid of Okiya Omtata. Wacha niwanzie sasa. Mko ready? Twende. Naam. Aya basi, let me start because time is kind of there. Aya, it's a lengthy video, but I will break it down. Are we ready? All right. I give you Okiya Omtata. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The only true politician in Kenya. Aya, 20.
If you moved anywhere else, you'll be a foreigner.
You can watch the whole speech on I think it's called Elephant. There's a magazine or something called Elephant. They have a YouTube channel. I'm using it for education purpose only, so I'm not so 20. All right, to ski. 20. Thank you. Sorry.
Or you'll be a resident or a citizen by paper. And you might be locked out some offices. Even if you went to America and became a citizen today, you can't be president of America because you are not a complete citizen. But here, you can be everything. You know that? That's why it's very important to protect this space. What's our story? Because I'm one fellow who believes that if you don't have a story, you don't exist. So what's our story? And our story as a people has been shaped by a lot of history that we did not control, that controlled us. My brother talked about Kenya having been started as a private company. It is true. We were never established along the line.
Umesikia? Did you listen to what he said? Kenya was established as a private company, a British private company. a corporation. If you don't know the history of corporations, in order to start a corporation, you had to get the blessings of the King of England. Ndio walikuwa nakupatia. The noblemen they used to ask for permission. The King of England had to give you permission to go start a corporation. And guess another corporation that you guys don't know about, that you don't know. United States of America is also a corporation. Just like Kenya is a British corporation. Go do your research. You see conspiracy. This is not a conspiracy theory. Go do your research. Nimewambia ni advance what? Msikuja hapa. Mmesikia Okiya Omtata amesema nini? That's number one amesema. Kenya is a private corporation. Na wachezea hapo tena. Sikia tena. Listen to me again. Listen, Okiya Omtata. All right there.
You can't be president of America because you are not a complete citizen. But here, you can be everything. You know that? That's why it's very important to protect this space. What's our story? Because I'm one fellow who believes that if you don't have a story, you don't exist. So what's our story? And our story, as a people, has been shaped by a lot of history that we did not control, that controlled us. My brother talked about Kenya having been started as a private company. It is true. We were never established along the lines of the Westphalian states of Europe, where the people was at the center. We people did not matter. So our story.
There's a big government scandal going on that you need to know about it. The government is actually stealing money from unsuspecting property owners.
Sorry, that was
has also been shaped in a very big proportion by our faith. Where people are now professing mainly Christian and Islamic faith. The two faiths are basically two sides of the same coin. They trace their origins to Abraham. And they are anchored in the book of Genesis. And so I want to begin in the book of Genesis. And the book of Genesis, we are told that creation took 6 days. On the 6th day, man was created and was shown everything that God had created, which was good. And he was told, you will be in charge of them. And the thing man was told, and when I say man, I mean male and female, is that you will live in paradise. I'll put you in paradise. Again, I'll give you paradise. So he was put in a garden where there was everything. But he was told within this paradise, you will not govern yourself. You will be governed. And he was told there's a law. Thou shalt not do ABCD. So you find that the rule of law is laid at the foundation of the Judeo-Christian Islamic faiths. That mankind lost paradise when it disobeyed the law. And then I come to a point where I look at it and I look at the temptations, the way they are presented. And you ask yourself, if only Adam and Eve had said no, we would still be in paradise. Isn't it? You are believers. That's what we are told to believe. If only Adam and Eve had said no, we would be in paradise. And you run through the same books to Revelation, there's a recurring theme of when to say yes and when to say no. And basically, to God, we are supposed to say yes. To the devil, we are supposed to say no. That runs through the books. So you'll find Abraham says yes, and it's not bad, and it goes through. So if I want to jump now for the Christianity that I profess, we come to the Christ. The Christ, I'm Catholic. We believe in the Immaculate Conception. The Christ is conceived without blemish. But the devil is not comfortable. He wants to destroy him. So the first way the narratives are told, the devil tries to destroy the Christ when he's a child. Through Herod, when he ordered the killing of the children in that area. And an angel of God tells Joseph, take your wife Mary and your child and run to your people in Egypt. So he obeys it and does it, and he goes. And the Christ is saved. So hope, we keep hope alive. Then the Christ comes, and the temptations come. And the devil comes with a new formula. If you denounce God by bowing before me, I'll give you everything. You'll control the world. And from my understanding, if the Christ had said yes, the salvation would have failed. The Christ said no. And there are very many instances that you find in the books where saying no is the game changer. So if we lost paradise because Adam and Eve failed to say no, then we must learn to say no if we want to keep our country. Otherwise, we're going to lose this country. So when we engage, we give ourselves the constitution, and that's the law. That in the paradise that God gave us called Kenya, there is a law. Obey the law and keep paradise. You keep your country. Disobey the law, you will not keep your country. And that's at the foundation of what motivates me. That the thing that is killing this country is disregard for the rule of law. Corruption is theft. In fact, I don't even like the word corruption. I don't use it myself. It mischaracterizes the problem, makes it sexy and desirable. When you say this is a corrupt man, he looks good. A corrupt man looks better than a thief. Okay? So this mischaracterization of this crime of theft by servant is a problem. And the cure is the rule of law. I also want to go back to scripture. If you look at the organization of the old society, if you reduce it to a sketch, if you are sketching and I have to sketch what the society in Judah in a traditionalist Israel was, you'll find that they had only 3 pillars. You had the priest worshiping and praising God. You had the prince governing, but you had the prophet demanding justice. Today, we still have the priest or the imam or in the Hindu temples. But most of the time, and they do very well, they praise God. They worship God. And so, the priestly church, if I may call it, that is defined by elaborate cathedrals, Holy Family Basilica, All Saints Cathedral, the major Sitam, You have so many big, elaborate and beautiful places of worship, Jamia Mosque, what have you, very beautiful. They're all praising God and are doing a good thing. But I ask myself, where is the prophetic voice? Yet God told us we are created in his image and likeness. And the closest I can get to God is by looking at you, not at the skies. And if I have to worship God, I have to worship God in you, not in the skies. So when you are being destroyed by bad policies, by bad governance, and here I am in a beautiful cathedral, in a beautiful mosque, burning incense or singing mashairi, then are we worshiping God? So we must begin worshiping God in our fellow human beings. We must be concerned about what my neighbor eats. We must be concerned about those things. And now in the modern design, with the prophetic voice not being in the churches and in the mosques and in the Hindu temples and wherever, society tried to create a prophetic voice, called it the professional. The professional is supposed to be the prophetic voice in a secular society. And whereby, when I use secular, or the word secular, I don't use it in the sense of secular being the exclusion of God from public spaces. I use secular in the sense of neutrality of faith in the public spaces, not the exclusion of God. So when we have this secular society, then we get the provision whereby we are told you have professionals. You have engineers, you have lawyers, you have architects, you have all these professionals. When a professional, when you go to a road and you find a pothole, a new road and it has a pothole, and it has got a certificate of completion to standards, the devil is not the politician. The politician signed nowhere. Even if the money ended up with him, he signed nowhere. It is the lawyer who dropped the contract, it's the engineer who certified the road, it's all those things that are happening to us. And that's why our country is failing, that the professional voice has failed. But all of these are failing because the rule of law is not working. If the law was working and a road fails and you go for that engineer and his license is withdrawn, there'll be no corruption. If a contract has been drawn that results in a country losing out, right now, I've been fighting the SGR thing from 2011. Recently, the Supreme Court overturned my victory in the Court of Appeal and even insulted me, called me names, which I'm going to walk into the offices of each of those judges and ask them, why are you insulting me?
Do you want an easy way to create professional invoices? Try it free at skynova.com.
And I'll do it. I take no prisoners. I have no time to take prisoners. I can't maintain them. I kill them. So I'm going to walk there and ask, why did you do this? But anyway, away from that, they were able to play around and justify the SGR. That's not a problem. I've moved on into the Senate. Using the platform of the Senate, I got experts, auditors, and said, can you look at the books of Kenya Railways, the books of the Ministry of Transport, the Treasury? As regards the SGR, can you do a forensic audit? What they've come up with is mind-boggling. We have paid 900 billion shillings. They claim it, the general thing they are saying, it was only 360 billion. 900 billion shillings has gone. The railway was technically financed using Kenyan money. There was no need for a single coin from China, and not a single coin came from China. And then you want to tell us that our people are poor. How? The SGR loan is due for repayment. If you read the Business Daily last week, to among the issues highlighted for repayment, this thing you are fighting in the finance bill, a big chunk is 70% of the finance bill is to raise money to pay debts. And people are dying because they can't afford 50 shillings to buy maramoja for malaria in this country here. So I've moved a motion in, I hope they'll give it the chance, the space to be heard. I've moved a motion in the Senate, and the people who did the audit, the experts, have signed on to it and are ready to testify. We want to know how we are paying people a loan which we did not get a single coin of. Not a single cent came from China into the consolidated fund. The other day I spoke on Spice FM. People thought I was crazy when I said, according to the records, we have overpaid our debt by 1.3 trillion shillings. They thought I was crazy. But if you are smart enough, you would have realized that I was not condemned by any authority. It is gospel truth. The other day, the Auditor General and the Control of Budget were before the National Assembly, and they both say they don't know. They have no record of the public debt. If you look at the central bank accounts, which are published on their website, for public debt repayment over the last 10 years, and you look at the purported debt we have borrowed, you'll find we have paid, plus the interest, we have repaid by 1.3 trillion shillings more. So money is leaving the central bank, and it's not going to pay debt, it's going into people's pockets. One of the issues I'm fighting right now, the finance bill, if you look at Article 220 of the Constitution, it defines the components of a budget. And broadly speaking, it requires that the national government must declare revenue estimates. You want to do ABC, where is the money? So if it says it's going to tax, we are going to impose VAT, we are going to add 8 more points, so raising it from 8 to 16%. What is the estimated revenue if you are going to raise by that? So that the Constitution requires that the revenue be declared in the budget. And so that you give revenue estimates, how it is, this estimated money you can raise, taxes, grants, and loans. For loans, there is. For grants, there is. But for taxes, there's nothing. Now, they have come and go down the expenditure very clearly. I wrote to Parliament and told them, you guys, the National Assembly, under Uhuru Kenyatta, they decided to lock the Senate out of the budget process, which was wrong, and we are fighting to restore that. I wrote to them and said, for heaven's sake, can you publish the revenue estimates so that I can know the taxation measures you are taking can do ABCD? They did not. So we are now fighting, and we have reached where we are, and the likelihood I don't see that thing surviving, because I'm training very heavy guns on it. I've done my research, and when we were in Busia, those who watched in Busia, in the church in Busia, when everybody was praising the president, when my chance came, I told the president, we are friends, but the Constitution is a greater friend to me. And I told the president, Your Excellency, there's no need for friends to fight. Go and withdraw those things and do the right thing. Instead, he came up and said, you people of Busia, tell your senator not to take me to court. They went ahead. They did what they did. I went to court. We are in a stalemate that could have been avoided. But I'm giving this narrative to say that to fight corruption, you have to be informed. You have to be informed in the power of information. And corruption in the public sector is the rule of law, not morality. Corruption in the private sector is for morality. Corruption in the public sector is the rule of law. We must know the law and we must apply the law. And the reason they don't publish revenue estimates from taxation is very simple. The law only allows the national government to borrow to do development. So if they were to show that their taxes will generate so much, then they would end up with a deficit for some of their recurrent expenditure, which would require borrowing. So they hide that so that after the budget is passed, they can borrow from the domestic market to finance recurrent expenditure through these things called the treasury bills. Those are the things that are undermining the paradise we call Kenya. We're undermining the law. We have also laws that are there. You've got this thing called the IMF Act. Take your time, go look at it. Hold the Constitution of Kenya in one hand and hold the IMF Act in the other hand. It's arrant nonsense. It's a tool for neo-colonization through the economic control of the republic.
Did you hear that? That's the IMF Act. It's a tool for neo-colonization through how your funds are spent, how you borrow, and how you spend your money.
And we have to fight these laws. We have to stand up for our constitution. We have to ensure that we are ruled by law. And I'll tell you one thing. These fellows whose currency is money, not conviction, believe everybody has a price. Right now, if you look at the kind of money I've been offered to withdraw the petition, has reached 200 million. But I tell them, my price is one. If you can't govern, vacate the office for those who can govern. I'm not taking a coin. I don't consume beyond my means. I drive a Demio, even I've come in my Demio out here. I don't drive because with a Demio, when I put 5,000 shillings in it, I forget I have a vehicle that needs fuel. You see that? So let us stand up for this country. And the question of public debt. When Kibaki left, our public debt stood about 2.4 billion US dollars, 2.4 trillion Kenya shillings. When Uhuru left, it was nearing 8.4. It is now past 10 trillion. Then you ask yourself, where is all this money going? They can't show anything for it. So we must come down and ask ourselves, these debts that are killing us, that are killing this nation, whereby now they are saying university students, you have no school fees for you. And I've told you the budget, the current budget of Dr. William Ruto, the president, 70% of it is to go and pay debt. So we cannot sit pretty on the question of debt. if it's taking 70% of our budget. It's a state of war, and we must go to war. We must ask ourselves, what did this money do? We must be given a register of what the money did, how it was borrowed. The other tragedy is that of the money that has been declared as a debt, the Constitution requires that only Parliament can approve debt to be borrowed. And Parliament does that through an Appropriations Act. If you take the Appropriations Act from the time after Kibaki left, and I'm using Kibaki cutoff because the new constitution came into power. This is the first government that was really full with the new constitution in 2013, when you got the devolution and what have you. So when you begin the Appropriations Acts for the 10 years of Uhuru, you'll find that the real debt that Parliament approved is half what the Treasury has published. So who authorized this debt? And if it was not authorized by Parliament, do we have to pay it? Because the essence of Parliament is that there's no taxation without representation. So if you are not represented when this debt was incurred, is that a foreign debt? Is that a sovereign debt or a private debt? To me, it's a private debt that belongs to a regime, and we should force the regime owners to pay. There are wealthy people, we can auction them and pay that debt. No, there's no other way. If you want to survive, we have the law, the Constitution.
Are you
Sorry
aware
about
that the salary for a cybersecurity expert exceeds $100,000? Did you also know that many cyber...
Sorry about that.
Fidelity to the Constitution means making painful decisions. If anything, the Constitution itself says in Article 226 clause 5, it clearly says that if you're in public office or in political office and you made decisions that resulted in the public losing money, you are liable whether in office or out of office, dead or alive. Why can't we use that clause? It's not an idle clause. We must breathe life into it. The Constitution has no legs or hands or heads to operate in it. It depends on you. We must do that. And we must, if we go back to history, the doctrine of odious debt, when the American, the US, kicked Spain out of Cuba, and Spain had muscled Cuba with a lot of debts, the Americans rejected. That's where the doctrine of odious debt came up. It says these were debts by the Spaniards for the benefit of Spaniards, for the use of Spaniards. How do the Cubans pay? The same principle must apply. That the debt issue has to be dealt with. Those who are lending know very well that Kenya is a republic. And a republic basically means a government of laws, not of men. It's a government of laws. So if we are a republic and we have got a constitution and it says this is how you can borrow money in Kenya or lend money to Kenyans, and you go ahead and lend, then this time where we should tell the Jubilee regime, those who own the Jubilee regime, and now those who own Kenya Kwanza, because they are maintaining the same trajectory. Can you go and talk with the Chinese in Beijing and sort out your issues? And leave us alone. Because if we don't do that, the debt is going to kill us. We have no country, and the debt is a result of violating the law. I don't know if you get the importance of the law in the order of things. So I want us to be very, very keen on how we engage with this thing called corruption, which I call theft. The Eurobond, when it happened, I did not know about it. Somebody very knowledgeable, a young man, he comes from Nyeri, came to me and said, can I have a chat with you? That was in 2015. And they said, okay, what's the chat about? He began discussing things I did not understand. So I said, can you treat me like a nursery school kid? and unpackage this thing in the language as if you are teaching as baby. Then in the many words he said, he told me, you know, these people went to borrow money, the Eurobond, to finance ABCD. But after they borrowed the Eurobond, they kept it offshore. It didn't come in here. But they came back to the local markets through the banks and whatever, and issued treasury bills and raised enough money to balance the budget. So they borrowed twice.
Mm-hmm.
They kept the money, they became billionaires. Here we are. You saw the Panama Papers, for those who are curious. You saw the names mentioned there. None of them works outside this country. None of them has got business enterprises that are minting millions out of dollars out of this country. But they had a lot of dollars are stashed out there. It never comes here. And that's what has happened to a lot of our debt. They have borrowed money, it never comes here. What comes is the debt into the register, but the money remains out in private ownership. We must interrogate and audit our debt and only pay that which benefited us. That which did not benefit us should be paid by those who borrowed for their personal gain.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very important. Because if we don't do that, we are going to kill this country. We are going to lose the paradise we call Kenya. We are still in paradise because in this space you can be who you can be. The other day, and that's the case I told you about the Supreme Court. In a very idiotic manner, and I use the word deliberately, the judges of the Supreme Court, trying to avoid my petition, which had said this procurement was not done properly, pronounced that the government of Kenya procured from the government of China. You know very well that the government of Kenya is not a procuring entity. It procures through ministries and departments. Now, when you say that the debt belongs not to Kenya Railways, there's their debt, but it belongs to the government of Kenya, to the Kenyan state, so to speak. And the state is the totality of the national and county governments and all their assets. Are you saying that we secure the SGR using the collateral called Kenya? Or we are taking over Mombasa Port and operating it for 40 years to pay our debt back? That's how people can become idiotic in their offices and make pronouncements without, and I'm using the word deliberately, and I'm going to defend myself anywhere. It was an idiotic decision. It binds this country to the Chinese loans and whatever in a manner that should not have happened. And as a result of that judgment, I said, what is the option 2? Option 2 is let us audit this debt. Let us audit the SDR accounts. And we were surprised to find that we don't owe the Chinese anything.
You heard that?
And so the records that say we owe the Chinese money have to be demolished. And so I filed it in the Senate. It has not been given a date in the House. But I want all these people to come and we ask them questions. What happens? How come these figures? And these are government figures. These are government figures. The Supreme Court told me last time I could not use documents given to me by Transparency International because I'm not Transparency International. I could not use documents given to me by NEMA because NEMA was not the author of those documents and he had not received those documents for purposes of giving them to Omtata. That is arrant nonsense. And that's why I'm telling you this, because we are facing a situation whereby a court in this country has become rogue. It has become rogue. It is doing things that are not in the public interest. The other time after the presidential elections, one of the judges went to Twitter to begin threatening me, and I exposed him. Now, 5 judges have sat and in their judgment insulted me as a gun for hire. So those kind of things for me are things we must resist. Otherwise, this thing you're calling corruption is being entrenched in a manner that we shall never be able to fight it. We must go back and say the law is supposed to be simple, supposed to be understood by everybody. Let us apply the simple law that we have. We still have glimmers of hope in the lower courts, but the upper you go, things are getting difficult. I don't know if it's because of the age of the judges, because they were trained. Most of them, when you look at the other quotations, they quote the British system. The British system is something very true, because when you look at the younger judges, they quote South Africa, but the older judges like quoting the British laws. But in Britain, the courts only exist to do what? To determine the intention of Parliament. What was the intention of Parliament when it was doing this? The only time you have seen them try to strike out a decision by Parliament is when somebody sues them against the European Constitution. But now they are also out of it. So they keep on quoting the British system, where Parliament is supreme. Here, Parliament is subservient. It's the people who are supreme and have given a constitution. We are not subjects of the monarch. We are citizens. We are citizens. And so the constitution must be applied as it is, not as judges would like to have it. And this is happening mainly in the top courts. And we have to deal with it. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem. I've seen something in Israel, which I don't know. You have seen the demos in Israel, where there's some group of a section of the society is saying, now we need to get a situation whereby we review some of the decisions of the apex court. We don't want to get there. Here, we might even want to begin asking, how do you people in the judiciary apply public participation? Which is supposed to bind anybody who is interpreting and applying the constitution. How do the judges apply it? But you don't want to go there. Because the judges at the lower level are performing an excellent job. So that decision on the SGR was really a rollback on the rule of law in this country. That when government, the so-called, they came up with something called government procurement, is not subject to the law. That's basically what I was saying, that if the government of Kenya decides to deal with the government of China, the laws of Kenya are irrelevant. We can't live like that. The government of Kenya is a creature of the constitution of Kenya. And as we say in my mother tongue, a river does not flow higher than its source. So the government of Kenya, which is a product, a child of the constitution, cannot be greater than the constitution. So as I wind up, we are going to craft a modern society that will be able to industrialize in a very short time. And I want to borrow something from the Turkish intelligence service, foreign intelligence service. They have a motto that goes that nothing is impossible. The impossible only takes a bit longer. So we are in this fight to redeem our country, to entrench the rule of law. And the next presidential election, we must demand that those who want power in this country must promise us just one thing, the rule of law. And everything else will function. The rule of law is very important. You talk of Singapore, you talk of the Asian tigers. If you look at the way they developed, most of them were developed by dictators. There was a dictatorship of sorts. but a dictatorship for the common good. If we can get the dictatorship of the law, we'll still have a democratic government where we elect governments. But if the law is supreme and it's a dictator, that whoever goes against it suffers the consequences, we will be able to develop this country. Without the law imposing sanctions on leadership, we are going to continue this con game. And it's a con game. The kind of thing that Christ asked, who among you, if his son asks for a loaf, you'll give him a stone. A piece of fish, you'll give him a snake. An egg, you'll give him a scorpion. That's what our government is doing. They are using our needs to exploit us. They'll come up with elaborate programs like Galana Kulalu. Beautiful name. Then use Galana Kulalu to steal from us. You see. They can come up with things like they were trying a greenfield, whatever, airport extension, whatever. They use it to steal from us. There's a debt we are paying today.
Listen to this.
There's a debt we are paying today. Incurred in 1974. We are paying for a fertilizer factory that was constructed in Dagoretti in Nairobi in 1974. Even with a microscope, you can't see that thing. But we are paying for it. It's in our debt register. We are paying for it. We have paid off the debt the British Crown used to bomb the Mau Mau in Nyeri. That debt, we have paid it off now. But it has been on our debt and our books. Something that was used to kill our own people, we are paying. So we need to come up and educate ourselves and understand this country and understand how the neo-colonial state works. Before we ask ourselves, why did the rain begin beating us? Let us not be like the American wrestlers. You have watched American wrestling? I like watching it for one lesson. That you must engage where it matters. If you pick your opponent and throw him outside the ring and begin clobbering him, the referee does not see. And that's a lot of what we are doing in this country. We are engaging in arenas that will not deliver. Let us find it in ourselves to realize that we have got no other country but this one. And this country is the paradise that we have. And the only thing we need to do to keep it is to entrench the rule of law. The rule of law, the rule of law, the rule of law. And all else shall fall in place. Thank you very much. And may God.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I've been saying here. That's what I've been saying here. If you have a politician that's uncompromised, hasn't been compromised by the West, this is what you get, and this is why your life is in danger. Okiya Omtata's life is in danger. This man is exposing the corruption that's actually affecting us directly. There's a direct correlation between the squandering of public funds when it comes to the illegal debts that we have acquired, that we haven't audited, and the taxes, the heavy taxes that we are burdened with, that we are being asked to pay by this regime and the previous regime. You see how he's exposing how the British are still taking advantage of us, how the British still treat us as the private corporation that Kenya still is, okay? And the people who are involved, the people who borrowed the Ninio, the money that we borrowed from the Chinese has never reached our coffers. It's not in the consolidated funds. Hizo vitu hazikufika hata Kenya. Hao watu waliboro hiyo pesa wakaeka kwa account zao huko offshore Ninio accounts, alafu wakaenda wakaninio wakaborrow from the local Ninio. treasury bonds hapa hivi ninio tukalipia, they balance the books, but ile money waliboro imeenda hivyo. And you wonder why this money that we just received, the 158 billion inaenda, what do we need it for? Did the parliament approve it? No. These are the issues that Okiya Omtata is the only politician who dares speak about this. That's why, with all due respect to the Babu Owinos and Sifunas and the Raila Odingas, they are saying a bunch of nothing. These guys are not the opposition. These guys are part and parcel of the Kenya Kwanza government and all this cabal of corrupt, irredeemably corrupt Kenyan politicians who are being ruled and paid for by the Western puppets. The only man who is fighting for the Kenyan true patriot is Okiya Omtata. Now, Okiya Omtata is not the only one. He's just, jina yake ndio imeanza kuja hapa kwa ninio. His name is becoming stronger now that we hear him because he's being a headache to the regime. Unajua, sometimes you heard him say when he goes to court anawaletea evidence paka hata majudge, there's no way they can rule against what he's bringing because the evidence is so there. Anaonyesha the law and how the evidence of corruption. So they have no option of doing it. So anaeka kwa ninio, he's taking them to task. It's a better, far more effective way than going to maandamano, getting people killed, alafu you go to AU and pretend that you're fighting for Kenyans. Just compare that for all of you who are still believing in Raila Odinga is fighting for this country. Okay? Ruto is a gone case. This is part and parcel of this corrupt regime. So that's what I'm saying. There are people like Professor Ogola who are trying to start their own political party. There are people like Kurokota na Jaribu, Miguna. They're people, they're Kenyans who we don't know their names that are fighting. But if they get the limelight, we should give them their flowers while they're still alive, because these are the true heroes. They're hitting where it hurts. They're telling it where the root cause of the problem. And you heard what he said. The root cause of the problem, and I was saying it in my other life, is what? The lack of respect for the rule of law. They don't want to implement the law. Inadko nonsense is disrespect to the rule of law because they refused to do what the Constitution says, which is what? To constitute the new IEBC. Instead, they're telling us that we've come up with this illegal NADCO report, which they're forcing us to pass it, to give power to the big boys, to quote Martha Karua. So this is what I'm saying. We should rally around people. Kenyans wanafaa jitokezee, protect Okiya Omtata. This man is a gem. Nobody even knew him 5 years ago, 3 years ago. We just heard this guy is going to the court and Kotini. Very, he's not flamboyant, hana rally. You don't see him in rallies. It's just a simple man. But look how he has grown, and people say we are realizing how powerful he is. So now was Sifuna and Azimio, they're trying to rally around him. At a level, they are trying to condemn you. Why were they not condemning the attack before? Sasa ndio unajifanya ati unataka kurally around Okiya Omtata. Okay, this man has been fighting solo with no help. Why can't we Kenyan people rally around this man and support him wholeheartedly? Wacheni kwenda kukufa juu ya maandamano sijui nini ndio Raila aende AU. Let's fight for people who actually fight for us. Tangu Raila aende AU mshasikia ati kuna ninio mambo ya gharama ya maisha or the debt. Have you ever even heard the Azimio folks talk about the debt in this Kenya and how we should audit it? Have you ever even heard one senator from Azimio talk about this? No, they won't talk about it because they are part and parcel of whatever. I started by telling you, the guys, as I wrap up, that these guys are chosen. Our watu, Raila, Ruto, Uhuru, Wandai, and all these busybodies, they have been handpicked by the West. Ndio maana unaona yule nani Chris Coons anashikananga na Raila na the opposition. Unaona, and the Jimmy Wanjigi, the fake Nanio. Okay, these people are handpicked by the West to make sure to give us to give us an idea to fool us as if we have an opposition. There's no opposition. The only man standing. That's why I ask, why is it that Okiya Omtata is the only public official whose life is in danger, is being threatened by the state? It is because he's exposing the root cause of the problem. Uliona Murkomen anatuambia ati sijui school buses will have cameras and all that stuff. That's nonsense. He fails to understand that the root cause of why are we having accidents is because people don't respect the rule of law, the traffic rules. And you can't blame them because the culture has been inculcated and permeated through the system by the people at the top. Wale watu wako juu wanaiba pesa, so what do you expect the wananchi to do? Why should they renew? Madriver wa miraa wanaendesha kaa ndazimu. People are dying and nobody cares. Because the administration that's supposed to actually set an example to follow the rule of law is busy looting the treasury. Now, bado wanachukua hizi malo. Hizi loans zote wanazichukua. Where are they going? The constitution says that if you have to borrow for what? You have to borrow for development. Development gani imeletwa Kenya? Hizi 150 billion wamechukua. Inaenda wapi? Where is it going? In their pockets. That's why you see Murkomen is wearing nguo za milioni moja Kenyan shillings. And the opposition are just as useless. So what I'm trying to say and what Okiya Omtata is saying is this. In order to fight this corrupt system, we have to correct it by going back to what the rule of law is saying. And we have to implement fully the constitution as it is with the laws that we have. And the laws like the IMF Act, we should get rid of. I was shocked when I heard about this, the IMF Act. Tonight I'm going to read that IMF Act and read how it's to a disadvantage. It is a way of ruling us. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, if you're watching this video, like, share, comment. Next time I will bring you guys in. I will try to get one of these people, whether it's Professor Ogola or Ekuru Okot or even Okiya Omtata in this program. I told you, this tunatipeleka level ingine. Tuache mambo ya kupiga makelele ya kina Sifuna hapa, Babu Owino hapa, sijui Raila nini. These people are all useless. Let's talk about people who are addressing the core, the root cause of what is making Kenya ail. People who are not compromised. Okiya Omtata. If he was to run for president, I will vote for him while I'm with my eyes closed. I won't even think twice. Lakini nyinyi mtangoja 2027 mwende mkapigania huko. Thank you, Mary Wilborn. Like the video and share. Nyinyi mtangoja 2027 mwende mkatupe. Mliona Kalonzo leo ameshikana tisiju. Kalonzo is going to run with Uhuru's brother 2027. Mtaline up mwende kumpigia. Raila atatoka huko AU. Na mtampigia tena. Ruto will come back na Kiswahili ingine. Unaona tumeleta maendeleo hapa na mtaenda kumpigia. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies and comrades, thank you so much for watching. I couldn't go any further. It's 1 hour 37 minutes, but I'm glad for those of you who've watched that video. If you didn't watch it, go watch it on YouTube. It's a speech that he gave. It's on Elephant something. It's a magazine. Very informative. It's a nice speech. It opens your eyes to understand the grip that our colonizers still have on Kenya. The neo-colonial rule is through taking over all the facets of the economy of a country. And in order to do that, they have to make sure that they handpick their leaders, whether it's the opposition and the ruling party and the members of parliament. Ndio maana unaona hizi IMF policies, they are passing through parliament without any opposition. That's why you have people who are incompetent like Selassie, okay? And Nani, Ujama, the engineer. But we laugh because we think it's funny when they make idiotic statements and we're entertained. But the joke is on us because Hama Jama, they're approving everything that their colonizers is Ninio wants. So basically, our sovereignty is in their hands, not our hands. So we have to come out and exercise it by going back to the constitution, making sure that it is implemented fully and it is inafuatiliwa. Failure to do that, we impeach, remove these people from your MCA governor. Orengo should not be a governor. Why is he still a governor? Ruto should not be a president. Why is he still a president? And I'm not talking about because he lost the election. I'm talking about based on the gross misconduct that has been happening under his administration. Whether it's the wanton borrowing, the lawlessness, and the debts that we have been facing, whether it's in the healthcare or transportation ministry. Okay? These people should not be, Raila should not be having a say in an ideal Kenya. This guy should be in a Opoda market selling fish. Retired. But when he speaks, nyinyi mnataka entertain his nonsense. Why? How is he fighting for us? Ndio mtaanza kuniambia ati Raila has fought for democracy. Muone, angalia. What democracy? I'm not picking on him. I'm just telling you how useless these people are. But these are the people that you put in a pedestal. Uhuru Kenyatta, who was smoking weed and drinking for the past 10 years. Yeah? His family own half of the Kenya. Whether it's land and businesses and his relatives. So this is what I'm talking about. These are why are they doing this and getting away with it? Ushawahi kujiuliza? Kwa sababu they are being protected by who? The colonialist. And they make sure they chaperone Kenya and they make sure that remember, the parties that they have formed, for you to be part of the party and to be elected, they have to approve it. They are the gatekeepers. That's why you see Raila unasikianga watu wakisema, in order for you to get nomination, you have to be in good books with Raila Odinga. And in order to get that nomination, he has to make sure that you are compromised. Look at everyone in Azimio. Everyone is compromised. Everyone in Azimio, including Martha Karua, by the way. Martha Karua we remember that bribe she took from the British Tobacco Company. Everyone. And the same thing with Ruto. I don't even have to mention Ruto. You can start wherever you want to start. And everybody else in the NEO. So that's what I'm saying. This is why they want Okiya Omtata dead. This is the third time he has survived. Liwambia, when he survived that NEO, he survived that road accident in Kisumu. I told you, the other way of killing politicians is through accidents. Okay? Kibaki, before he came back from the hospital in London, kwa nini alienda hospitalini? Sinali alikuwa na accident because Moi wanted to get rid of him. Raila, back then when he was still fighting for multi-party, he was part of the group that was fighting for multi-partyism. Yeah? He was a thorn in Moi's regime. Ali survived an accident. It's a tool that is being Saitote likufaje? Accident. Okay? So, Okiya Omtata survived the accident. Alafu after that, ulisikia wakora alimfuata vile he was leaving court. And now you've had jana walienda kumtafuta kwa nyumba yake huko ninio. So these two briefcase political parties are designed to gatekeep the next leader, a leader that has already been compromised. They want to make sure that they will carry out that agenda of the neo-colonialists, the West, that are ruling Kenya. That's why Okiya Omtata can only say and do these things as an independent candidate. You cannot hear anyone from Azimio saying the things, giving a speech like the one Okiya Omtata is doing. So let's protect this man through any means, because he's our hope. And many other politicians that are coming up, because we are starting, I can see in the near Twitter sphere, a lot of Kenyans are starting to realize that, hey, this problem is deeper than just we are going to remove Nakumecha and this nonsense that they're talking about. The root cause is the what? Lack of the respect of the rule of law. And if we go back to that, half of this, 90% of these so-called elected officials will be disqualified. And remember this, ile machine, ile kampuni ambayo ilitumiwa vote people, it has a history. I won't get into that today because of time, but it has a history of being tampered with in order to give a certain results. But that's a topic for another day. I won't get into that. The point I want to emphasize is this. The leaders, let me not call them leaders, elected politicians, elected officials, 90% of the elected officials in the legislative body, whether it's the MCAs, governors, senators, MPs, and even the president and the leader of the opposition, whether it's Wandai or Raila Odinga, they have been handpicked by the West. So when you see somebody who refused to be, umesikia Okiya Omtata amesema hapo, they offered him 200 million. And even they offered him more, but he has refused. Because to him, it's not about money. Pesa itakusaidia na nini? Pesa ni nini? Pesa otas. What is money? You have to fight for the people. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, and comrades, it's been a pleasure. I want to thank each and every one of you, Mary Wilborn, Godia, Peter Juang, and everybody else who has been watching me on X. Thank you so much. The only thing I ask you, please, ebu like your video and subscribe kama uja subscribe. You unaangalia hapo na hata uja subscribe. Sasa niwe nini? Ini politics ile hapa tunataka kuchapa ile politics ya juu. Wacha ile politics ile tunachapa makelele hapa. This is unasikia? So do me a favor. Subscribe, like, share. Ndio nikikuja hapa tunaongea na ukitaka kuingia kwa studio mimi nitakuingisha. If you think I'm saying something silly, nitakuwekea na uingie ukuje niambie, boss, hapa na hapa you're full of it. But like, subscribe, share. Na kuwa naona watu wengi kwa X, please. Watu wako X, please go to my YouTube hapo. Enda kwa YouTube page yangu, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Share, like, comment. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you tomorrow, or maybe I'll probably come back on Monday. Hii weekend mpaka niangalie ball bana. Ama namna gani? Anyway, thank you so much. My name is Kenya Revolutionary, and I'll see you guys tomorrow or whenever I see you next, okay? Sawa basi. Peace and blessing kama kawaida. Tuonane kesho basi ama siku nyingine. Peace.